I have a dorky actor question for Felicia. How did the experience of working on the web series, or rather approaching Tallis between the web series and doing the mocap and then being in the studio, how did that affect your mindset in terms of approaching her as a character? Like,
it certainly helped because I did all the vocal recording and mocap after we had all finished the production. And I do have to say that it was definitely the hardest thing I've ever done to produce this web series because the scope of it was much larger than anything I'd done on a web budget. So we had amazing team members, but being able to wear all those hats, the great part was that when I got those daggers in my hands, I was like, now you're an actor. So it was really cool to be able to go through that process and be so dedicated and imbue the character with everything that I thought her personality had. So then when I went in and recorded 12 hours for the dialogue, and like back to the thing about writing for video games, unless you go in there and perform all the lines that they require you for this piece of DLC, you never appreciate the amount and layers of writing that's required from a team to be able to make it a fully fleshed out piece. I mean, there are things that I forgot saying because there were so many hours of it, and if you play through once, you're not going to listen to maybe a fourth of what is actually recorded. So that being able to anticipate the freedom of a player is like, I don't know how you do it as a writer, to be honest with you. But so when I went in to do all the DLC, like being able to see all that and all the really interesting depth that they brought to her character, it was just easier for me as a performer because I had lived with her so long.
you had already assumed her role before, so jumping into it, even though it wasn't in the same context, was very simple for you.
I mean, it was similar. I mean, the faith of the character was similar, even though they very cleverly made the DLC to not be necessary to watch the web series and vice versa, but it additively, you know, they definitely fill out the character in a very interesting way, especially lore-wise. You know, all the things that I learned about the world that affected her affected who she was. And that's why I thought it was really interesting as a performer to be able to live that character for so long, from start to finish. Thank you.
One thing we learned in terms of game writing when it comes to time to do VO recording, and that I've slowly learned because I mean, back in Baldur's Gate days, we only recorded a little bit and then sort of stepped up. I had to learn as a writer to sometimes you have to let the actor act and not, you know, feel like you have to cover everything that needs to be expressed in the dialogue. Sometimes you've got to let the cinematics guys like John let the character, you know, express, you know, have a facial expression or say something by how they move or what they do, and not have everything be in dialogue, or to trust that I can write a line this way, and then when we're in the studio, I can say to someone like Felicia and say that this is the meaning behind that line, and that she can express that as an actor. And I think that as we go along and we build up more trust that that's possible, I think that's when we get to a little bit more complicated and cinematic storytelling.